Omolo. Direction. It's not straight on that. Yeah, just that direction. You can adjust the mic the way it works. And then we also online. That's a camera.
Online. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I know I'm standing between you and lunch, so maybe we'll say, Benjamin, lunch is on you. My name is Omolo. The ISACA Kenya president, and I'll explain what ISACA Kenya is, but maybe just to mention, I think you've given us so much pressure, because I came in when your presentation was ongoing, and I realized, I should have been also more tech focused, but I'm here to discuss more on how everybody in the room can play a part in terms of cybersecurity development. And I understand that we have various players in the room, from government, academia, your students yourselves, and players in the private and public sector that are in the cybersecurity ecosystem. So I think it will touch on everybody, and I think at the end of the day, we'll be able to give comfort to the students in the room as to what the rest of us are doing in terms of playing a part, so that by the time you're leaving and joining us in the workforce, you guys are assured that there are jobs, because I think you guys have heard that there's a cybersecurity skills gap, or there's a shortage of talent. But when you join the market, then it's a different case. You're more or less trying to find that there are no jobs, so to say. So, so I'll start by thanking Benjamin for allowing us as ISACA Kenya to be able to present in this forum, and everybody in the team who has put together this forum. As I mentioned, I'm the president of ISACA Kenya chapter. ISACA is a global association of IT professionals, and we are in the space of audit, risk, and when I'm talking about audit, I don't mean financial audit, I mean IT audit, IT risk, we're in cybersecurity, information security, we're in data privacy. So we are a supermarket of some sorts, so to say. So a supermarket, the way Nakumat was referred to as, everything under one roof. So ISACA, we have professionals that are drawn from different sectors in terms of the technology space. And we are also heavily investing in terms of cybersecurity and developing talent, developing the workforce of the future and the workforce of the present, to be able to ensure that everywhere where ISACA has a presence, that country, that organization that you work for, or even the schools or the associations that you're associated with, are adding value in terms of the cybersecurity skills that you have. You're ensuring that we are making sure that you're able to adapt and to emerging threats, to emerging technologies, and so we train our professionals in terms of that. So we have a Kenya chapter, and we're about 2,000 professionals currently, and still growing. We have membership drawn from various sectors. We have student membership, we have professional membership, graduate membership, and the likes. And I'm not here to market ISACA, by the way. I'm just giving you context, because you'll see how it will come into play in terms of how professional associations are contributing towards the skill gap that we have in terms of the development of the cybersecurity workforce. So, in terms of job searches, in terms of cybersecurity, there's a joke that some of the times you look at the job descriptions of let's say, a SOC analyst, and it's an entry-level job. You'd expect that somebody fresh from university should be able to fit into that role. But then you're finding the JD that has been listed is saying they want 5 years of experience. A cloud computing analyst, they're saying they want 10 years of experience. Yet the newer technology of cloud computing, the AWS, Azure, and the like are more or less newer technology that are probably, we could say, 5 years late. So why are you asking for 10 years of experience to people who are just coming out of the market? And so it's a really disadvantage to students like yourself who are just fresh out of the market and want to play a part in terms of the cybersecurity workforce. ISACA does, and not only ISACA, there are also other associations, there are also other institutions that usually do a lot of research in terms of cybersecurity. And I'm just going to show some snippets of what a sample of the ISACA cybersecurity state in 2023 report shows about the current workforce that we have, or the current situation in terms of cyber. So the first one is in terms of the workforce by age. If you can see on the screen, it's just showing that the ages of about 18 to 24, thereabouts, are of course they're not many, because essentially they're either in uni, coming out of uni, and then the likes. But then the age group for 25 to 35 thereabouts, also not that many. And that's where we would expect that by the time, for me, I think that should be where we have more of our talent, more of our working group, because right now we have a lot of newer emerging technologies that ideally younger people should be embracing and should be more or less, I would say chap in terms of trying to keep up with those technologies. So it's much easier for you guys to keep up with newer technologies, to learn about them, as opposed to somebody who has been in the workforce and probably has been using a different type of technology. So I would expect that the younger workforce, say 35 and below, should be where our workforce in terms of cybersecurity is. But as you can see, it's showing that we have a large group of people who are about 45 to 50, who are essentially covering our workforce in terms of cybersecurity. And what that means is that in the next 10 years, they'll have retired, and there'll be a gap that will be there, because then the 35 years old will also be moving to the 45 years old, and yet from the 18 years old to 35 thereabouts, we still have a shortage of talent. And so that's why it's important for us to ensure that we are developing our workforce. It's ensure that we're investing in terms of how we are going to ensure that the next 5 years, the next 10 years, Kenya as a country, Africa as a continent, we are ensuring that we are keeping up with emerging technologies, that we have the talent that we need to be able to ensure that we can fill that gap, and that we don't have a backlog, or we're not building towards the talent gap that we have. Then in terms of qualifications, a lot of jobs right now, they'll require you to have qualifications or certifications, so to say, and ISACA is one of them. We offer certifications in cybersecurity, information security, audit, and the likes. And a lot of employers would require you that you ensure that you have certifications before they can even consider you. But just because you have qualifications, the certification doesn't mean that you're an experienced person. You may find that even some students who are in the universities doing a lot of pen testing on their own in terms of, say, TryHackMe, and other initiatives or other platforms, have more experience in terms of playing with data, in terms of playing with environments, as opposed to somebody who has a certification. Just because somebody has a certification doesn't mean that they really have hands-on experience towards that. And so as employers, we also need to change our mindset. So for the employers in the room, whether in public or private sector, we also have to give a chance to this young upcoming talent and ensure that we have an alternative. So if somebody is able to demonstrate, this is my portfolio, these are the number of, let's say, capture the flag events that I've participated in, then that should also suffice as experience to be able to ensure that we are able to consider you to be hired. as opposed to saying you have to have a certification. Yet we are complaining that we don't have the talent. We have a skill shortage of skilled professionals. Yet we're not considering this other alternative experience that students like yourselves are bringing to the room. Then, in terms of cybersecurity degrees, so this question was posed to a lot of professionals who are already in the market, and they were asked if they think the cybersecurity degrees that yourselves or cybersecurity-related degrees that the people coming out of university, whether we think they are relevant, and that by the time you're coming to join us, you're already you're ripe for the market. You're able to fit into the workplace. Or is it that when you come to join us, then now we're like, oh my God, this guy doesn't know anything. This chick doesn't know anything. We have to start from scratch. So this is a good slide that I wanted to ask to you. So to the academia in the room, if we have professors and the likes, are we looking at our cybersecurity curriculum? Is it relevant to our market right now? I understand that for the universities, the review of our curriculum is usually after 4 years. So you can imagine right now, we're talking about AI. By the time, let's say the curriculum was reviewed in 2020. So it means next year is when they'll start now reviewing, okay, maybe we need to consider putting AI. By the time 2024 is coming, AI will probably be outdated. We're now speaking of quantum computing. So is it relevant? Yeah, and that's on the academia side, like for the people who are in charge of developing the cybersecurity programs. And so maybe a question to you guys: are you learning about blockchain? Are you learning about emerging technologies, even if it's not at an in-depth level on your own, in terms of the curriculum that you're doing, in terms of even here at UN? Is it something that is in your program? Is it relevant? And maybe you also need to question on why. Why, if it's not being done, why it's not being done, yeah? So, yeah, food for thought on that. And then, stuck. Okay. So I don't know if someone can help me there. If you can just go to the next slide. I think the clicker is kind of stuck. Okay, yeah. So in terms of hiring culture, just maybe to reiterate what I said about employers now in the room, asking for 10 years of experience for cloud computing, and cloud computing is more or less a technology that has been here, is more recent, so to say. So you can be asking for cloud computing technology, yet, and 10 years, and that's a newer technology. We need to check what we're doing, because if somebody just looks at that from the job description, they'll be like, automatically, I don't even qualify, and you don't even waste your time applying into that. And then, in terms of hiring as well, looking at future, there are a lot of, in terms of cybersecurity, there's a lot of specialization that you'll have to, that is coming up right now, and that students as yourself need to invest in. So you need to choose a path that you think would be ideal for you. So let's say if it's cloud computing, if it's analytics, if it's AI, we have quantum computing coming up, if it's InfoSec, if you want to be a red teamer, a blue teamer, and if you want to be a purple teamer, because they also have purple teamers, but also that have to have the basic understanding of information security and cybersecurity principles, and those are the IT auditors and the IT risk practitioners that we have. So my work is simple, and it's to ensure that we are building an ecosystem and that everybody in the room is playing a part in it. So for government, what is government doing? And mine is just to ask rhetorical questions, or questions that are supposed to help us think about where we're moving as a country, where we're moving as a continent. So for Kenya, the government is trying its best, and it's already making initiatives in terms of cybersecurity. So if you've heard of the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act 2018. It was enacted in 2018. But when it was enacted, it gave rise to institutions or a body called NC4, the National Computer Crime Coordination Committee. The NC4 is comprised of various organizations, and I think probably somebody has spoken to it, I'm not sure. But it comprises of the disciplined forces, the military, NIS, and the likes, Communications Authority, the ODPC, the Auditor General, not the Auditor General, the Attorney General, and the likes. So that body was basically supposed to come up with regulations to ensure that computer misuse and cybercrime in Kenya, we have clear regulations that if we take you to court because of misuse, we can be able to convict you because the law is very clear, the way lawyers like to say. So the NC4, just recently they introduced the regulations, and I am 100% sure that the regulations are about to be passed by Parliament once they'll be taken back there. And what it has done, it has ensured that critical infrastructure, what they call critical infrastructure, and the banks, there's a whole category of which organizations are considered critical infrastructure. So the Safaricoms, the banks, hospitals, and the likes. It has made it a compulsory that you'll have to have a CISO. So just by that, it means hospitals that probably were not looking at IT as a critical role will have to now start thinking, okay, we need to put this in place. Do we have a CISO? Do we now have to look at our IT team? Or do we have to recruit outside? Do we need to then skill or develop whoever we have in-house to be able to become a CISO? So the government is trying with various initiatives in terms of what it needs to do, but there's still more that can be done. In terms of cybersecurity awareness, maybe to the government or the public officials in the room, is to challenge us. Do we have a center of excellence for national cybersecurity? Because we have fragments of cybersecurity here and there. So we have NC4, which is operating on its own. We have the KESAT, which is hosted by the Communications Authority and deals with incident response for the country and also helps organizations. But if I was to say, okay, I want to see how, or I want to go and see or research on how Kenya is doing cybersecurity, how do I then ensure that there's a center of excellence that I can directly go to? And it's not wrong to have the different bodies because they all play a part. But if we were to say, this is what I want to focus on and I want a single point of contact, then yeah, I think we need to think of such. When it comes to academia, how are we looking at our cybersecurity and technology-related programs? Are they keeping up with emerging technologies? Back in my days, I did a degree in business information technology, and we learned about C++ as a programming language. Now Java is taking over, Python, R, and the likes. But if we're still teaching C and C++, yet they're becoming outdated, not to say that they're not needed, and it's usually a very good foundation to learn the other programming languages. We also need to relook at what we're teaching in terms of our curricula. And so as academia in the room, we need to relook at our programs. Are we making sure that by the time our students are joining the workforce, they're able to deal with emerging technologies, they're able to deal with emerging threats? And the students in the room, what are you doing yourselves to ensure that you're upskilling yourself? Because I had a boss who used to tell me that just because you have a degree doesn't mean that you're qualified. It only means that you're intelligent and that you can read and write. That's what he used to tell me. And sometimes it is true because there's only so much that the school or the university can do. You also have to take up initiative yourself in terms of learning some of these things. I mean, the schools can't be changing the curriculum all the time. The basics that you guys also need to invest in yourselves to ensure that you're keeping up with either emerging threats or emerging technologies or a focus area of where you want to pursue. So you have to upskill yourself. And there are a lot of free internet resources that in basically almost every field of cybersecurity. There are a lot of free material that you can leverage on in your journey in terms of being a cyber professional. And in terms of academia as well, I'll relate it with the professional associations. So bodies like ISACA, there's also ICS2 or ICS squared, I don't know how to pronounce it. They issue out certifications. But the beauty of bodies like ISACA Kenya and the rest, there are a lot of professional IT associations that are there. We always ensure that we are trying to give back and invest also in cybersecurity talent, because I'm only the president for 2 years. In 10 years' time, somebody who's a student here will probably be the president of ISACA Kenya. And you'll be the one who's be responsible for leading fellow professionals in terms of challenging the government, in terms of challenging your workplaces, in terms of leading and shaping, helping the government to shape policy in terms of where IT and cybersecurity is heading as a country. So we run a lot of programs in terms of investing in cybersecurity talent. We run a lot of boot camps. We have student university groups in various universities spread out along Kenya. And to join the student university groups that are recognized by ISACA, it's free of charge. And you get access to a lot of resources that have been developed. So say you want to learn how to look at, say I'm an auditor, a new auditor, or it's a passion of yours, maybe you're interested in becoming an IT auditor or a cloud auditor. You just go and search for a program, cloud audit program on Google Cloud Audit Program, and you get access, a whole audit program developed for you to see what you need to check in the systems, in the various items, and it's free of charge. So you need to take advantage of such opportunities if you come. Not necessarily marketing ISACA. There are a lot of other associations that are also doing a lot in terms of developing cybersecurity, and the focus actually is right now on young people, because there's indeed a gap that we need to fill, because in the next 5 years, we have to ensure that you guys, when you're coming to the market, you have a job to play, you're experienced, we have trained you, we have upskilled you, and you're experienced that by the time you're coming in, you're fitting in. It's not like we're coming to start again from scratch, to say, you guys, me, enyewe, UON, I don't know these graduates. I know you've heard of such employers saying they can't hire from a particular university or a particular institution. And so it's up to you. We can only do so much in terms of upskilling, but you yourselves as students also need to take that initiative as well. And then if we have investors in the room, Mr. Benjamin has spoke about AI and how he searched for an image and it was displaying Chinese faces. The truth of the matter is that the focus in terms of development of AI is not on Africa. And so we don't have Africans who are taking that initiative of learning AI or developing in AI, or even trying to see, okay, machine learning, this is what I want to focus on. There's that gap, and if the people who are interested in the room, I would tell them that there's a market for that actually. And because many companies are realizing they need to automate a lot of repetitive processes, there's actually opportunity for a lot of jobs to come out of there. And maybe just to touch on the conversation that was said in the room about, someone asked whether AI would steal their jobs. The person who will steal your job is not the AI itself. The person who will steal your job is the person who has learned to use AI, and not the AI itself. The person who will learn to use AI will be able to demonstrate to their company that this is how this is how we can use AI to our advantage as a company, and that person will be retained. So if you're a database administrator, if you go to ChatGPT right now and try and search and tell it to run an SQL query for you, or to design an SQL query for you, and you give it all the parameters and it will do that. So if I'm a CIO somewhere and I see that as a ChatGPT can do that, my question would be, what's your value, right? But not to say that I don't need the database administrator. There are also other tasks that AI itself may not do. AI is also biased, so that DBA or that database administrator needs to demonstrate to me how best or what other value they can add that the tool cannot do. So that's, I think, my parting shot to you. The person who will steal your job, AI will not steal your job, but the person who will steal your job is the person who learned to use AI. Then in terms of our hiring culture, as a country, both in the public and the private sector, we also need to redesign our thinking, how we hire for jobs. We need to just ensure that certifications, as much as they're important and they validate our credentials, that you have the expertise, yes, we also need to consider hands-on experience. So for students who are doing projects and capture the flag and the like and have portfolios, say in TryHackMe, we should be able to use that to be able to use it as an alternative for hiring, or to use that as requisite experience to ensure that we're also giving them a fair chance to be able to join the workforce. Then, as an organization itself, and even with the regulations that are going to come into force with the CMCA, the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act, we still need to invest in executive cybersecurity work, and we need to ensure that we are investing in C-suite and board experience, because for sure, until WannaCry happened, many boards weren't seeing the realization or the prioritization of cybersecurity. So until ransomware happens, and a lot of organizations have been hit in Kenya because of that, that's when now the boards are like, okay, yeah, this is important. But as organizations and as both public and private institutions, we need to train our boards, we need to show them the importance of cybersecurity and develop them. And so having trainings for the board and showing them this is what will happen, this is the impact, and trying to also simplify, because a lot of us techies would come and say, this is the budget, we need to have these firewalls, we need to have all these state-of-the-art technologies, but the board member is looking at the budget and like, this is not my priority. So if we need to simplify the importance of cybersecurity technologies and how they'll protect the organization, so that the board members can then now say that, okay, now I understand what the importance of cybersecurity is. So my last statement, parting shot, is that for us to be able to ensure that we have a good ecosystem for cybersecurity in Kenya, in Africa, across the globe, we need to ensure that we collaborate, because you can't work in silos. I work for ISACA Kenya, I serve with ISACA Kenya, and I also work in a private organization. But we also need the players, like in the government, to be able to ensure that we have rules in place that protect these organizations, that protect our citizens, that protect us as students, protect us as companies itself. So we can't work in silos. We need everybody to be able to play their role in the various ecosystems, and to do that, we need collaboration. Yeah, so I would urge everybody in the room, no matter whether you're a student or the different players that we have here in the sector, we need to redesign our thinking so that by the time we are coming, say 5 years from now, I would like us to be coming, not to be discussing about the talent, the shortage of talent that we have, but more or less that we have so much talent, then can we then export this to the rest of the world? So thank you. I'll leave by playing one video, then I can take any questions. So yeah.
That's the anthem. Get your hands up. Hey, hey, yeah. Listen close as I tell you all the tale. How my soccer got your boy ready to prevail. I always had a feeling that my future was bright. And thanks to my soccer, yes sir, I prepped for the fight. My path wasn't clear for careers, what would I? You had a good eye for Texas, a good eye. Challenges are a must. That's how our brain works, almost 90. Till I try better frameworks. What new career will I choose to make a difference? Cybercrime risk, if audit amongst my interests. Been tested. reinforce what I already knew. Change my life for the better. They can do it for you. From system to C-Guy and IT's D-Light. Now my future's got the green light. I sucker. Pursuing digital trust. I sucker. With progression's a must. I sucker. Realize my purpose and promise. And if I can be honest, a new era's upon us. I sucker. Pursuing digital trust. I sucker. With progression's a must. I sucker. Realize my purpose and promise. And if I can be honest, a new era's upon us. Scissor. Gain the knowledge, use the order control. Monitor the data flow, then assess what's known. Take that info and use it to improve and hone. Only the first search, but I'm feeling right in the zone. Next up looks like C-Risk. I really want to see this. Train so I can see risk in enterprise arenas where others can't see it. Don't focus on the surface, but what's beneath it. Reaching the next certain sequence. System and acronym and mechanism for a managerial application to synergism through program development, security, and governance. Skills hiring companies covered. Better come with it. C-Guy, earn my dose with knowledge and the foresight. Designing, implementing, and setting the course right.
So thanks. So this is our ISACA anthem. It just shows the certifications that we have and that we offer in terms of the various cybersecurity knowledge or training that we have. For young students, we have certified in emerging technology, and there are different stacks. So there's a certificate that you can get in AI. You can get one in blockchain technology, and the like. So there are various certifications that you can check out on our website, and I'm happy to answer any questions related to that. So thank you very much.
Wow. Challenge to students. CyberPro, a competition to create